get in trouble. And that's what he meant. Sneak up on it. Don't try to cut through it. Don't try to force the cut. Let the tool do the work. If you have to, knock it out with a chisel. But don't keep digging at it, because you'll have a funnel. Now, once in a while, you'll get to a profile where that big gouge will not go around that corner without making grooves. Here's the reason why. The bevel of this tool is probably a quarter, maybe 3/8 of an inch. That means as the cutting tip is going around the corner, the tip is cutting and the heel is supporting the cut behind it. But what it's doing is compressing the fiber behind it. We call those pressure rings. You generally don't notice them until you finish sanding and put the finish on, right? Duh. If you'll take a tool that has a smaller bevel width, in this particular case a 3/8 gouge, and I have also relieved with a secondary bevel grind the heel of that so it will go around a tighter radius. Therefore, it'll go real slick around a pretty tight profile without leaving pressure rings, and that doesn't do anything but generate sanding. And we don't do sanding. Except I don't have a vacuum chuck. I tried to draw the line at all the toys that are available someplace. And I drew the line at a vacuum chuck. Because there are a lot of other ways you can get by without a vacuum chuck, such as a jam chuck. Now this is a multi-purpose, all-purpose, handy-dandy, homemade jam chuck. When I'm teaching at the folk school in North Carolina for a week, this is the third project that they make the first day, because it gives you practice making a number 2 Morse taper. And it also allows you to practice making a shoulder with your parting tool that will be gripped by the jaws of the chuck. So you can use it either way. You can use it in the chuck, or you can use it without the chuck, and it's a jam chuck. Now, Gary, you did such a good job. We have already measured, so we know where the inside is, right? If you don't, make sure you do. Leaking. Now, it's easier for me to bring this thing up, and then I put the point against the tailstock and crank it up. My jam chuck has a piece of foam router pad on it. That provides the traction and also protects the finish that we put on there so carefully. Right? And now it will be perfectly centered. Sort of. The more you practice, the luckier you get. You just eyeball it. I like to find the high point on top, lower it a little bit. Ah! Good enough. Now we have access to the bottom. Step 3, finish the bottom. Now here's where we have options with other tools than your 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Now I like to use my spindle gouge for this. I can also use the 3/8 bowl gouge, because all we want to do is to round off the bottom. Because for this particular piece I'm going to make it a rocking bowl. I could put a foot on it if I wanted to. I have all kinds of options right now. It's kind of fun when they have these wings on them that they sit here and go. The trick is to blend the 2 bowls, top and bottom, together. Now, if you have a little extra wood in here, you can get fancy and make a reverse curve on the bottom, all kinds of options for this. Just make sure that you get rid of all the details, all the compression marks and everything left by the chuck jaws. I think a good wood turner should never leave the evidence of how that piece was fastened to the lathe. There is nothing more uncool than walking into a turning artist's booth and picking a bowl upside down and finding 3 holes filled with plastic wood. Right? That's just totally not cool. Now, I'm not going to be too worried about trying to get everything just perfect here. But now we have the shape that we want for this particular piece. Got the tool rest hitting it. And we have options for the base. What you want to make sure is that you have enough wood that you don't go through the bottom when you want to chisel off the evidence of where the tailstock left that ring and that pinhole. Not a problem tonight. It's gone. What I mainly wanted you to see was how to get the basic shape. Boy, we messed up on that profile. But there it is. Is you can do the same thing in reverse. Done the same way, except I reversed it twice instead of once because I had a tenon on here and I had a tenon on here. And the trick is to keep track of which way you're turning it, but what you end up with is the objects that I like to make, and that is my 4-foot bowls. Reversal in the chuck, holding it with the tenon here, I removed the tenon and hollowed it out. Then I simply reversed it on a jam chuck and took this tenon completely off. So this is why you can